Welcome once again to the Midnight Pantry, that quiet place beyond the clatter and hum of the day, where the oven glows like a hearth and stories simmer in the stillness. Here, in the gentle folds of evening, we gather not to cook, but to imagine, to remember, to rest. Each night we take a single dish, familiar, comforting, and wander with it through memory and meaning. We follow the scent of it across time, across tables, until even the mind begins to soften. Tonight, we ladle out something older than any recipe card. Something slow and steaming, and deeply Irish. A stew, thick with memory, seasoned by place. Irish beef stew. To speak of Irish stew is to speak of the land. Not in a grand sweeping way, but in the quiet, muddy truth of it. It is a dish that comes from a place where the rain rarely stops, where the grass grows thick and lush, and almost impossibly green. A place of soft hills and wet stone walls, of narrow lanes flanked by fuchsia hedgerows and rusted gates, of sheep that graze like scattered cream on distant slopes. You can hear the wind before you feel it. A constant hush from the Atlantic, sometimes biting, sometimes barely a whisper, and always the sea nearby. Even inland, there's a sense that the ocean is never too far. Its salt lingers in the mist. It's a country of hearths and kettles, of things hung to dry near peat fires, of big skies and small stoves. Irish stew was never written into menus. It was kept in memory, passed down through action and habit, as steady as the tides. The earliest versions used mutton. Old sheep, slow cooked until tender, paired with onions, potatoes, sometimes a carrot, sometimes not. Whatever the season would allow, whatever the land would give. This stew was not dainty, it was fuel. But somewhere along the centuries it became something more. A way to gather, a way to remember, a way to taste home. And while beef has since taken the place of mutton in many kitchens, the soul of the dish, its tenderness, its thrift, its grace, remains. Darina Allen, Ireland's grandmother of seasonal cookery, has long taught that the best food is the food closest to home. And in her kitchen at Ballymaloe, the stew is simple, clear, and honest. This recipe is inspired by her book, Forgotten Skills of Cooking. It begins with what she calls the Holy Trinity of an Irish pot. Meat, root veg, and water. No more than you need, no less than you deserve. You'll want a good cut of stewing beef, shin or chuck is best, with a bit of fat marbled through so the meat softens, not shrinks. Around 2 pounds cut into thick, stubborn chunks. 4 potatoes peeled and quartered, floury ones like roosters or golden wonders. Not the waxy kind. 2 onions, sliced roughly, not fussed over. 3 carrots, peeled and chopped into cheerful rounds. A turnip, if it's winter and you've one about. Salt, a good pinch. And fresh thyme. Because a stew should always smell like the edge of a garden. In a heavy-bottomed pot, lay the onions first, then the beef, then the carrots and potatoes. Cover it all with cold water, not too much, just enough to kiss the top of the vegetables. Add a few sprigs of thyme and a whisper of salt. Then bring it to a gentle boil. Lower the heat. Let it barely bubble. Cover it and forget it for 2 hours. When you lift the lid, the meat should sigh apart at the edges, and the potatoes melt just enough to thicken the broth. It should be hearty but humble. Quiet but nourishing. Eat it with a spoon, or with a thick wedge of soda bread. And if it's raining outside, well, even better. This next recipe brings the warmth of the Irish pub to his stew. This one is deeper, darker, the kind you'd want after a long walk through drizzle or while listening to the fire spit in the grate. And yes, it uses Guinness, not for show, but for the way it wraps the beef in malty sweetness and turns broth into velvet. Begin with 2.5 pounds of beef chuck, cut into generous pub-worthy cubes. You'll also need a tablespoon of flour, a knob of butter, and a drizzle of vegetable oil for browning. 3 large carrots cut thick, 2 parsnips if you've got them, 1 yellow onion diced, a tablespoon of tomato puree, 2 cups of Guinness, not the draft from the can, but the stout from the bottle if you can find it, a bay leaf, a sprig of thyme, and a bit of beef stock to loosen it all. First, brown the beef in batches. Don't crowd the pot. Let the pieces sizzle and darken. Set them aside. In the same pot, melt the butter. Add the onion, then the carrots and parsnips. Let them soften. Let them smell sweet. Stir in the tomato puree. Add the flour. Let it all catch and deepen for just a moment. Return the beef. Pour in the Guinness slowly as though it were holy water. Then the stock, enough to cover. Tuck in the bay leaf and thyme. Simmer gently for 2 to 3 hours. The end result is a stew you could rest your head on. Thick, dark, soft, and better the next day, like all good things. Our final recipe is inspired by the Irish cookbook by JP McMahon. McMahon cooks like a poet writes, with reverence for the past and a glint in the eye. His stew honours tradition, but also the wildness of Ireland, the coast, the cold, the kelp. It includes a broth made from bones and a handful of dried kombu or dillisk, bringing the salt air right into the pot. You will need a kilo of beef bones, roasted first until golden. They are the soul of the broth. Then 1 kilo of stewing beef cut thick. Carrots, celeriac, onions, leeks, and parsnips. All chopped roughly, in keeping with the stew's humble nature. A sprig of rosemary, a pinch of sea salt, a few black peppercorns, crushed gently between your fingers, a small handful of dried seaweed, maybe kombu, maybe dillisk, to steep into the broth like tea. Begin by making the broth. Roast the bones, then simmer them for hours with water and aromatics. Strain. Cool. Keep the liquid, discard the rest. Now build the stew. Brown the beef. Sweat the vegetables. Add the broth and the seaweed. Let it all come together in a low oven or on a quiet hob. 2 hours, maybe 3. When it's done, the stew tastes of the land and the sea. Earthy, briny, deep. It is a stew that knows where it came from. Irish stew is not one recipe. It is many pots, many winters, many hands. It is a bowl passed between generations, a taste that speaks not just of hunger, but of belonging. So tonight, as your breath slows and the world fades into shadow, let the scent of beef, of carrot, of thyme and Guinness, real or imagined, wrap around you like a woolen blanket. You don't have to stir, you only have to rest. Thank you for joining me. Sleep well.